I'm Brent Maher, and my wife and I, Janelle, have been members here at Bethlehem for many years. I think 1978 is when we joined, and we love this congregation, we love this church, and it's been a big part of our lives. And I'm sitting here with my good buddy Harry, a wonderful guitar player, a fabulous dobro player, and we've been talking guitars, and Gretsch's in particular. And I'm holding a little 1958 Gretsch Dual Jet that Harry, I bought this in 1959 actually. I was 16 years old. And how I came to buy this guitar is an amazing story, and I think it ties right in with what Ryan has a series on about being a neighbor, doing things for each other that, you know, maybe above and beyond, which would be the case in the story I'm about to tell you about this guitar. And so how this came to be, I had a little part-time job there again when I was 16, and on my way home, walking down Hampton Boulevard, Inglewood, Colorado, it's a suburb of Denver, I walked by this store. It's called Melody Music, and I walked in there one day, and oh my gosh, there was just a wall of guitars, 2 walls of guitars maybe, and right in the middle was this little guy right here, hanging up on the wall, and with all the Fenders and all the Strats and all the Les Pauls, this little black Dual Jet just said, "You might want to pick me up." And so I did. I walked over to the wall there, and I asked permission. I said, "Is it okay if I play this?" And the woman behind the counter, who owned the store, said, "Sure. Pick the guitar up, and you can play it over there in this little room. Shut the door." So I went in there and played, and oh, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'd never heard anything this sweet, or played anything that you could actually make a chord this part of the neck, you know. So anyway, I played it for a while and said, "Thank you, ma'am." Picked it back up, stuck it on the wall, and I kept repeating that same scenario. I would go in there probably 3 times a week, maybe more, pick up the guitar, ask permission, play it, put it back. I don't know, maybe after 6 or 7 visits, this woman says to me, "Young man, are you ever going to buy that guitar?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, you seem to really like it." I said, "Oh, no, I love it." And she said, "Well, if you love it, why don't you buy it?" I said, "Well, I can't afford it." And she said, "Well, it's not like you have to just pay for the whole thing, you know. You could have your mom or your dad come in, and we have the paperwork. We go through a bank here, and they co-sign for you, and then you figure out monthly payments, and you get yourself a guitar." I went, Well, that's not possible." And she says, "Why?" And I said, "Well, my mother died a couple of years ago, and my father is unable to work. So we just sort of scraped by." And she said, "Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about your mom." And I said, "Well," I probably said thanks, I'm sure I did. So anyway, I leave the store, and she says, "Well, you come back anytime you want to. You come back and play the guitar anytime you want to." And which I didn't for maybe a week or so, because I was a little bit embarrassed about the conversation and all of that. But, you know, I was walking by one day, and I had to go back in. So I went back in. She said, yes, pick the guitar up, go there and play, which I did. So I come back out and start to hang it back up, and I did hang it up. And she said, "What's your name?" I said, "It's Brent." I said, it's Brent Maher. And she said, Brent. She said, "You sure seem to love that guitar." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "Well, let me ask you a question. could you afford to pay me, I think, Harry, it was something like $17.23 a month, some figure like that. And I said, 17 something a month? She said, yeah. Could you afford to pay me that? I went, I think so. And she said, well, how about this? How about I co-sign for you? You know, kind of like I was your mom or something. Well, think about that. I mean, I didn't know what to say, except you do that. You know, and she said, yes, I'll do that. She said, if you promise me faithfully on your honor that you can make that, you'll pay me that amount. I said, I promise you. She said, well, that's that. I bet you need an amplifier too. I said, I guess so. And she said, oh, okay, well, let's just figure that up. And of course, she already had. That's how she came up with the $17 thing. And so this woman, out of the kindness of her heart, co-signed for me, a minor that she didn't know from Adam. She didn't even know if that was my real name. I guess. I didn't have a driver's license. Why would she do that? The only explanation I've ever come up with is God. God had spoke to her in some fashion and said, this boy needs a little help, which I did. And little did she know, man, that that act of kindness served a couple of purposes. One of them is that an adult would really take me for my word, that they would, I said I'd do something, and they said, well, good. That was that. Extraordinary that she would do that. Yeah. And then the other thing, this guitar, it gave me a focus, and I've had a 50-year career in the music industry. And I promise you, it all started with this guitar. Absolutely. So all I can say is, thank God for God's people. That's my baby.